nearby to help. But I think it's not too bad because there's a fire service station in Apapa, and it's 14 minutes drive at least in high traffic from that fire station to where the fire incident is happening. In this case, fire happened at about 3 a.m. So it may take them without traffic, maybe about maybe 10 minutes, maybe or less than 10 minutes to respond. Sometimes that time is not enough, but it's close by. So if you have a fire station in the vicinity that can service not just the market but everything around, then I think it's good. But the thing about these markets is the way they're built as well. They are built in clusters. I've never been to this Akere market before, but they're built in clusters. And you have, like, imagine Balogun Market, Mercy. If there's a fire inside, you have to break some shops to get there. Mercy, I went to Balogun Market to do some shopping some time ago. Someone took me around. I was looking for some particular items. And when we were supposed to leave, we came out at a part of the market that was going to help us come out at that Akpombo area, to access Carter Bridge or something like that. And we passed underneath the market, those shops that were burned that affected the Akpombo Bridge integrity, the Echo Bridge. And you see the cluster of shops under the bridge. They're built, it's a town, But, you would always blame, and I know it's not the time, we don't like to embark on blame games, but we need to look at where this is coming from. You always look at authorities who allow these traders to build their markets in clusters, because the more they are, the more money their boys can make and send to them. We need to build proper markets. And then when you build proper markets, you provide water for Lagosians. I don't know whether the current governor in his campaigns has promised water, But I think those who want to remove him as saying, well, in 24 years or so, these guys haven't given you water. We'll give you water. So if you have water in Lagos, this is supposed to be a mega city. It's supposed to be a center of excellence. If we have water in Lagos, you can have water hydrants at these markets when they are properly built, okay? Have water hydrants at these markets, and before the fire service comes, they can break it and use the water to see what they can do. Secondly, I know under Fashola, Lagos State used to have a very strong safety culture. When Fashola was governor, you go to office, they will fine you if you come to the office for inspection and your HSE things are not there. And I remember I wasn't in Lagos. But because of how it was, I knew. Because each time I come to Lagos, I see how frantically the offices, the corporate organizations are trying to make sure they put the signs there. Like now, you come to this office, you see how we have a lot of signs everywhere. You're climbing the staircase, they tell you hold the rails. You see the signs. Watch your head, watch your step. Turn left. We have all these things here everywhere in this building. It's just like when you go to an oil company. You see a lot of these HSC things around. They spend money on it. They pay that department staff a lot of money. So is the current administration, Lagos State, is it big on health and safety and environment? Are they keeping up to those standards so that you make sure that if all the markets, the shops, they have the extinguisher? It's not about going to sell local government basket. I don't want to do that in Lagos. but that is a big thing. It's a big thing. It's not about going to sell local government baskets. This refuse dump, they won the board last year. Then it's still there. We'll bring another one. Say you must buy. No. Okay. You have to have fire extinguisher and look at the safety. That's number one. Number two, this issue of arson is so sad that the 65-year-old security man died. If you listen to one of the interviews that a trader there granted, he said, our old papa, where they play with us. So they know him in the area. And he was shot needlessly. 65-year-old and you're a security guard? That means that you're hustling to provide for your family. And I won't be surprised if this 65-year-old man, security guard who was killed, is a breadwinner of his family. So that's a life that has been taken away. And of course, the support given to his family is gone. So it's really sad. Now, who are the people who went to burn that market? Because now it's not as if we have to say allegedly there was we're not going to do it allegedly here. Because we know that someone died from guns. Allegedly gunshots were fired. We don't know, is it true? Police. This one we know that some boys or some gunmen went there, unknown gunmen, went there, and they fired shots. Why did they fire the shots? Of course, they know the living was a fire. So something must have happened. So I know that there are speculations that, because this is election period, the governorship elections are just a few days away, or were a few days away at the time. Maybe supporters of the ruling party in Lagos State are trying to intimidate the Igbo-speaking community because most of those who trade in this market are from the southeast. But I will urge caution. Let the police conduct their investigation. Let's not rush conclusions. However, in the recent days, Mercy, tribal sentiments have been whipped up by those who are merchants of division, all right, merchants of division, because they profit from divide and rule tactics, and so they whipped up these tribal sentiments in a bid to see how they can get votes their way, and it's not right. And this has led to, it's heightened the speculation that there is a sort of a tribal aspect to this arson, but we can't tell. It's always important to wait for the police to conduct his investigation. Like I said, in the case of the Christian girl, we have to wait for the police to conduct their investigation, and then we can take it from there. So our hearts go out to the traders who lost their goods, very sad, and also to the family of the 65-year-old security man, the papa, who lost his life. Our hearts go out to his family. It's very sad.
I mean, apart from the fact that you have raised the issue of whether or not it has any political sentiment, and it's advised that the police would do the needful, relevant authorities, but there are also some other issues that we need to pay attention to, like you have mentioned, the administration of this market, and that's why local government need to be up and running and very effective. The autonomy of the local government should not be debated. If you look at the laws and the constitution, and in terms of responsibility, the state government has no business in market administration and what happens around and some of these things. It should be within the purview of the local government as a third tier of government, and that's what it should be. And we hope that in 2023, as we're going to have new government, that this government will pay attention to ensuring that we have the third tier of government running in full scale. We're talking about financial autonomy, so they can, take responsibility and act and do the things that they ought to do, because this is also within the purview of the states to take. But just quickly, for the want of time, we look at another one. It breaks my heart to bring this to you, that 2 Nigerians arrested at an Indian airport with cocaine capsule concealed in their, stomach. According to this report, these 2 Nigerian nationals were arrested for concealing 167 capsules of cocaine at the Mumbai airport in India. Now, how did they find out? There were several reports to the Indian TV where the officials from the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence said that these passengers were arrested by police after they arrived at the international airport via Lagos in Addis Ababa, and that was on Friday. It was stated that the DRI officials took them to court and demanded that they were examined by a doctor because they may have hidden drugs in their bodies. Now, after a medical examination, which confirmed that 2 Nigerians were hiding cocaine in their stomachs, they were purged, or they had to get them to get it out. You know how these things work. And then they took out 167 capsules over 3 days. This capsule, according to the DRI official, this capsule contained a total of 2.97 kilogram of cocaine worth of Rs 29.76.
You sound so. I mean, if it were me, I would not even know what this is about. What is that?
Why you sound like you're not?
I know where you live, near where you live. There was a bus.
So because
that record bus they had, Marwa, it's your estate now.
Did you know that particular day where that arrest was made? On my way back to the house from the office, I saw the NDLE. You don't need to see the NDLE when they are in operation.
Really?
It's very scary. They were in full force. And so, at the time I was like, what's going on here?
I hope you are listening. Don't do drugs.
Yes. So it felt like I was going to put up a story. My sister's like, okay, but I now thought that he could give these persons a hint. You never know who is there to say, okay, let's escape. So I just had to let it slide so that they'll be arrested. But really, funnily, just 2 houses or 3 houses away from mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's nothing to do with. Has nothing to do with how you're comfortably reading that. Okay.
I'm a journalist. I'm expected to know.
No. I'm saying you could have embarked on investigative journalism to that house.
No.
Say investigative journalism.
The house is sealed. Don't worry. You can't even go there. Well, so Kofi, that's it. And the reaction from a lot of Nigerians is that all of this. Now, let's get it clear. We're not holding brief. I am not holding brief for those who involved in peddling drugs and what have you. As long as it's a crime, it's a crime. But we don't have to say that Nigerians are the only one on this table. There are smugglers everywhere. And so, yes, I understand how we probably feel it's not holding brief for them. But smuggling and smugglers are almost everywhere. And Nigeria is also not left out. But one of the things, or one of the reactions that a lot of persons have shared, or the concern is that all of these actions have consequences on Nigerians outside of Nigeria. And there's also Nigerians in diaspora, that's what we're saying. So for every other time there's a bad behavior, from the very populous country in West Africa, and a black nation for that matter, then you have too many, issues. You would never know. Well, in relations with other countries, when people, get to go for business, what it is, whatever it is you want to look at, they're not being, treated normally like every other person. So there's like an extra, and sometimes they're discriminated. So you need to understand that your action, for every time you embark on this, whatever it is that you do, tells on the integrity, tells also, it reflects on our country as a people. And I think that you should think about your actions. So it's not just you. You're not doing it for you. You're also doing whatever it is that you're doing, and it has a serious implication on us and on every other Nigerian, wherever it is that they find themselves. So yes, it's just, I really don't know what the excuse would be. There might just be different reasons, Kofi, for all of that.
All right, let's move to the next top trending story. We have Lagos releasing impounded vehicles to owners free of charge, and of course this, by way of information, are vehicles that were impounded by the Lagos State government through the Lagos State Traffic Management Agency. These are vehicles that were impounded due to infractions and disobedience of traffic laws and traffic rules, and you can see on your screen some of the last mile officials, that's what they called, Lagos State Traffic Management Agency. So you have vehicles impounded over the infringement of traffic laws or traffic infractions, you want to call it that. And we are aware that some months ago, the government of Lagos State auctioned some of these vehicles, even despite the plea of some of the owners who were begging the government to release the cars to them. Most of them are commercial vehicles, and they said that their livelihoods were affected. The Lagos State governor is also the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress. So, this is also, some would say, part of that. But the government has begun the release of those impounded vehicles to their owners free of charge. The reason the government is giving is the cash crunch that has hit the nation following the Central Bank of Nigeria redesign policy. The release of the vehicles to their owners, we're told, began since last Saturday and is still ongoing. The Lagos State Commissioner for Transport is a very busy man these days. And I'll tell you why in my analysis. He's Dr. Frederick Oladende. He said the governor of Lagos State had ensured the vehicles impounded for minor traffic offenses were returned to their owners with the fines waived. They didn't have to pay any fine. That's that on that training story. Mercy?
Well, Kofi, I'm sure that you're also very in the know of the kind of conversation or the thoughts that we have right there on social media and different parts, whether on air or off air or of social media, is that a lot of Nigerians, or Lagosians, if you like to say, are querying the intention. Now, for every other time there's an action, there's always, people get to look at what's the intention behind all of this. So the intention of the Lagos State government has been criticized, and some people think that just how many days before the elections should have actually happened on the 11th, this weekend. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, INEC has stated it's been moved to the 18th of March. And so people are already taking that with a pinch of salt. So why now? But even though you also see that the government has given a reason to say catch crunch, but people are saying, oh, really? There's a lot that the government has done. Pensioners have been paid. I mean, if you also look at it, there seems to be constant power supply in different parts of it. And some people are saying, could this really be a way of gaining the people's vote or asking the people to vote for them? Is this a way where the government is trying to reach out, to gain votes for the elections that were slated for the 11th of March? There are too many, activities, but it brings us to the conversation of government and governance and the provision of basic amenities. Now, and I think it's in this climb where we live that for every other time you have a government embarking on road construction, the basic things, there are just some things that are just natural. It comes as a child and as a mother. So you say you have a family, and in the family you have a child. There are some things that are just basic, is natural, and that's by virtue of being that you are a child. That's by virtue of being that, he's my father, then this is my mother. There are some duties that come to you naturally, ensuring that you're taking care of food, shelter, clothing, and what have you, up until you come of age. So it's the same thing, but over time, the people have been made to feel that it seems like it's a favor. So when government embarks on road construction and then they begin to laud it or put it out there, and then there's a lot of appraisal, oh, this is so much. It begins to look like government has done something extraordinary. It is what government should do. Government responsibility, that's why government exists, to ensure that lives, properties are protected and ensure that the people, have what it takes to live life. I mean, you are taking taking the shots. You're also calling the shots on their behalf, managing resources. That's what it is. So it's not different. And I understand where the people are coming from. So it's on this premise that people are saying, oh, so why didn't this happen all the time? Don't forget also, just like Kofi had mentioned, once upon a time, 140 of these vehicles were auctioned in September 2022. And the economy hasn't really fared well. I mean, we're still trying to recover from COVID. So yes, there's cash crunch, there's a lot of hardship and difficulty, but it's not different from what Nigerians have been going through. I think that's the reason why people are taking that with a pinch of salt. But you might also want to say yes, commendable of the Lagos.
Yeah, Messi, we don't have too much time, so I'll just quickly give my analysis. But it's I mean, you've talked about last minute. You talked about the fact that these people are saying, or some are, saying that, hey, why are you releasing these vehicles at some days to the elections? And some feel this is a ploy or a move by the Lagos state government, releasing these impound vehicles for minor traffic offenses without payment of fines, just to, earn some public sympathy and probably earn some votes as the election approaches. So this is not the only thing. We've seen the governor of Lagos State give interviews to media organizations, and he's already been accessible for some time. In fact, he didn't participate in any of the governorship debates that held in the weeks leading up to the governorship election, which has just been rescheduled. And some people asked, okay, I mean, the governor not going for the debates, the governorship debates, is he running for a second term or not? Because if you're running for a second term, you're still in the election, you want to be out there. And some people were surprised when he went out to give some interviews to private radio stations, media houses, not aligned with the All Progressives Congress. Apart from that, the governor of Lagos State, the reason I said the Commissioner for Transport has his work cut out is because they've also approved a 50% slash in the transportation fares of Lagos State government-owned or backed transportation services. So you have lag bus, lag ride, I think of BRT services, lag ferry and all that, 50% discount. And it's so wonderful. But you see that in some of these apps, you have the government, like in lag ride app, you have the governor's campaign message there. Some people say, okay, why is this coming now? Is it because of elections? You can talk about the Ilera Eco that was recently launched. That is a health program by the Lagos State government. And recently, We're told they are feeding 5,000 pregnant women. Some are saying this is so close to the election. Why now? Another one you can talk about is Lagos State government paying 533 pensioners 1.2 billion naira. This is just about a week ago. People are asking why now? But of course, it's not unexpected that the politicians should do some of these things, to closer to the election. But what people are saying out there is that we need to see you doing these things before the election. If you're going to the markets, the governor was in this market where you sell computers, in Lagos. Alaba market, sorry. He was in Alaba market some days ago and interacting with the traders. And people, we've not seen you for 4 years. Where have you been? He was in some shopping mall interacting with traders as well. And people say, we've not seen you. And there's a girl who took him up, and was debating. So we say, okay, for not attending the governorship debates, it serves you right, So we need to see politicians do better. Do these things. Don't wait till the election before you do some of these things. And so people are saying, you can't fool us. We're made up our mind to vote who we want to vote. If you're coming out now to give interviews about NSAS and explain things, you should have done it a long time ago. You won't fool us. We are going to vote for who we want to vote for. I think Nigerians are wiser now. We're not saying don't vote for Governor Sanwo-Olu or vote for any other person. No. But we're just giving you a feel of what people are saying out there, because this is top trending segment. We have to go. We'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll look at what the papers say. Stay with us.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Since the beginning of this campaign, Jando and Funke have rigorously traversed all wards in Lagos State, from Ikorodu to Badagry, Ekpe to Alimosho, seeking to know the true state of our state and where the shoe really pinches. They visited the riverine communities and places that have never been visited before by any governorship candidate in the history of Lagos politics. Funke's market storm is also the first of its kind by a deputy governorship candidate. Lagos. There's so much work to do. It is time to give the man who knows Lagos and can birth a breath of fresh air the chance to lead. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jando as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
When you hear of drug abuse, what comes to your mind?
When we say drug abuse, it seems like something that is so distant, but it's happening every day in our homes.
1 in every 4 persons has mental illness.
Regardless of your notion of what drug abuse is, you are sure to get the right meaning here. Welcome to Regardless, an anti-drug abuse television show put together by Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry.
Regardless, the anti-drug abuse show, airing on PlusTvAfrica every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
It's still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Ezekiel Nyaitok is here with us this morning. Ezekiel, it's good to have you join us. Good morning.
Good morning. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's run through the pages this morning, looking at the papers, and we can really predict what the papers will be talking about. I'd like to start off with the Punch. It says INEC shifts governorship assembly polls by 1 week. INEC shifts governorship assembly polls by 1 week. And that, took a lot of persons by surprise. Commission says despite ruling 176,000 machines cannot be reconfigured before Saturday. Election materials distribution disrupted in Delta, Osun, Bayelsa, and Cross River. Others. These are some of the reasons, of course, that's been put out by the umpire for the postponement of the elections. Buhari can be prosecuted after May 29, says San. That's on the Naira scarcity. I mean, it's such a great, interesting, headline this morning. Companies, consumers' taxes increased by 42%, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. Long fuel queues ground Abuja and neighboring states. I can tell you for sure that that's really the case. National Assembly female membership drops as 11 lost re-election bid. And then you find Sanwo-Olu orders probe as Buhari sympathizes with market fire victims. There's also a pictorial representation to that. There's been a lot of, thoughts out there, but we're requesting that everyone should stay put as the police carry out their duty. Terrorists kill 5 villagers, abduct 53. That's in Niger State. Very saddening. That's the much we can take this morning on the Punch.
Quickly to the Vanguard, it leads to the big story there. Beavers has entered the national lexicon forever. Beavers, INEC shifts Guba assembly polls to March 18. Needs 5 days to reconfigure 176,606 Beavers machines to normally leave out those 606. Very important. Confusion heralds postponement. We hear President Buhari is already in Daura. Is that he didn't know, he wasn't aware. Anyway, Peter Obi, others in court, and that is a picture of that story. That's a big story. Buhari to Nigerians in diaspora, FG, and placed credible purpose. Fix Beavers glitches before governorship assembly polls, NBA tells INEC. All right, are they also talking to their members as well? Lagos Guba, Sanwo-Olu tipped to win based on experience. That's an advertorial there in the Vanguard, and they've put a chart of who they expect to win the election and all that. You can see LP coming distant third, PDP second, and Sanwo-Olu with a wide lead. Okay, but like they said, it's an editorial. Court okays INEC's request to reconfigure Beavers. Okay, some of the stories on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper.
Well, let's turn our attention to the leadership quickly this morning. The leadership is not reporting different from other papers. You have hours after court ruling, INEC postpones governorship polls by 1 week to reconfigure Beavers. That's boldly written. There are several writers right there, but we'll just leave it at that. Supplementary elections to hold in Dogo's constituency. Army orders 36 Car-Q's warriors and plus helicopters from the United States. I hope I got that correctly. Presidential poll, Tinubu inaugurates 49 SANs as legal team. And then you find Atiku meets IBB Abdusalami. names Gazama head of legal team. Save NIPC from mismanagement now, directors tell federal government. Now, bandits kill pregnant woman, 11 others, abduct 50 in Niger and Kaduna State. Now, just when Nigerians were excited, Kofi, you remember the talk about the Naira redesign and kidnapping and, bandits attack. It feels like, activities have resumed in that quarter.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We'll move on from that, Mercy, to The Guardian very quickly. Court orders Beavers reset as INEC shifts Guba polls to March 18. So many riders as usual with The Guardian. We'll leave it at that. World Kidney Day. 45,000 Nigerians die yearly due to kidney failure. We're in APC, but we'll vote PDP in Nasarawa Guba poll. Deployment of ICT director, not reason for Beavers technical hitch. INEC claims, that story is something that has gone on at the radar, but some people had to bring it to my attention. On IWD, Canadian envoy says Nigeria facing a serious SGBV crisis. My son, Badebo, not Igbo, no link with IPOB, says Rhodes Fever. That's his father, the lawyer Olawale Rhodes Fever. He had to address the press yesterday. 97% of firms in Nigeria are others to experience tech skills challenge in 2023. It's headlines on the front page of The Guardian.
Well, I think that's...
The Nation is up next, yeah?
Okay, so we just quickly run through The Nation this morning. It says INEC shifts governorship assembly polls by 1 week, and you can see a pictorial representation. Polls tip as Sanwo-Olu to retain seats. So you have that margin. So you can see that graph there. But let's not stay too much on that. We move away. While Lagosians should vote, Sanwo-Olu sounds like an advertorial right there. Umahi is quoted to say, President-elect inaugurates legal team. And then Tinubu hails Marshall Speaker's G24 director. Don't truncate power transition, NC or NSCIA warns. 324 House of Representative members elects gets the COR, that's Certificate of Return. 324 House of Reps members elect get the COR, and that's the much we can take this morning on The Nation newspaper.
All right, let's start with this one from the Guardian, where they're saying the deployment of or should I say redeployment of the ICT director, and not a reason why there was a glitch. Some people have said that, he didn't agree. In fact, someone told me he refused to, was alleging rather, he refused to rig the Beavers, and then they took him out of that position. But INEC has come out to say this is not true, because he had been redeployed since the 16th of August 2022 as the director of ICT at the headquarters, and they transferred him to Enugu branch to serve as administrative secretary there. And this was 6 months before the election. Do you go with INEC, or do you smell something fishy?
I definitely smell something fishy. Good morning, Nigerians, again. It doesn't make sense that for the person that developed a software or the platform for the most important action that you want to take, the person that developed that software or that platform, 6 months to the deployment of that platform, you move him out to come and become an administrative secretary. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, except, of course, it's on punitive grounds. And if that be the case, it's either he defaulted, in public interest or in private interest. If it's in public interest, you'll be so much in a hurry to make known what he did so as to constantly and continuously gain public, credibility, not credibility, public acceptance of the process, because the most important aspect of everything you do concerning election is public confidence. No matter how good a policy or an application is, except it has the buy-in of the public, is as good as not good. So for you to redeploy such a person 6 months to the most important action you've got to take in 4 years is very suspect. And you know, it made many of us to go back to the background of this person, and when you see the profile of the person, it's intimidating, it's a perfect fit for purpose. And the fact that INEC itself had had made public, you know, maybe even boasted positively that this Beavers machine was, you know, an in-house, you know, configuration, or it was, you know, it was designed in-house. And it has been tested and retested and gone through a lot of, you know, integrity tests and has passed. It's something to be proud of. And if anything, at the end, the person in question ought to be celebrated as a national hero. And everything was heading in that direction. But it so happens that after Oshun, it became clear that this thing was too good for Nigeria. So the question is, how do we now compromise it? To compromise it, we've got to get this guy out of the seat. This is my own thinking. And because he's out of the seat, others have to be trained in the act of managing the processes. And if your own main concern was that the integrity was too high and could not be manipulated, it means that whoever you are bringing in has to be somebody who's coming to do a bidding. And that's why, in my opinion, we find ourselves where we are today, which is very unfortunate. If we are to talk more into it, I'll tell you why it's more unfortunate than Nigerians know.
The Osun elections were on the 16th of July 2022, and the redeployment of this man to administrative secretary in Enugu was on the 16th of August 2022, exactly 1 month after.
Well, let's move away from
that. Corroborates my story, I'll tell you. Because the way Nigerians hailed the Osun election, it was, why would such a person, having received such high, we didn't know who he was. If anything, we were attributing everything to INEC. Oh, INEC, this is awesome. INEC, this is wonderful. INEC, this is marvelous. We gave all the adjectives you could imagine to INEC. And then INEC was so happy that they said, guy, look, get out. 1 month after, think about it.
Okay, but let's look at the thoughts of a senior advocate of Nigeria, Rashid Adegoke, who's like I mentioned, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who spoke on the issue of disregard for the Supreme Court order on the Naira redesign. And when asked the question, what could be done as a retribution to the president for disobeying the laws of the land, and he said that the president, can be prosecuted. Do you think that the president can be prosecuted, after he leaves office? It probably would be the first.
Great question, but honestly, between you and I, that's something I don't even, is a distraction for me right now. You say, how's the bond if they pursue rat for bush? Whether the man is prosecuted after now or not is a list of the problems of Nigerians. The question is, where we are, how do we get ourselves out of this rubbish that we found ourselves in?
No, but Ezekiel Yaituk, I think that it would be unfair for us to dismiss that entirely, because if you look at it, it still has a connection. We're talking about the rule of law here. Up until this moment, Nigerians are going through a lot. Now, when I mean a lot, it means a lot. The short codes and the online transactions are not very seamless, and that's a problem. You can't find physical cash. You can't even find cash anywhere. And for those who have this cash, they are selling it at a very exorbitant rate. And so this, according to the senior advocate, is that it's supposed to serve as a deterrent. That those who are coming behind, there seems to be a lot of lawlessness, disregard for the rule of law, especially in this administration. And so, do you think that it would be fair for us to say that's not important? Because this is where we are. I mean, we're still bearing the brunt of the fact that, including the judges who gave the ruling at the Supreme Court, I'm not sure they're accepting the old Naira as a means of transaction. Nigerians are rejecting it. Life is difficult. The new notes are not available. And up until this moment, Nigerians are hoping that the president would give a directive, would say something, or the CBN governor, and nothing is forthcoming. So yes, again, as a way of retribution, as a way of treating lawlessness by those who should respect the law, do you think that the president can be prosecuted?
By way of treating those who disrespect the law, what you should do is what is happening now. Get them out. If you cannot get them out now, what makes the prosecuting somebody after, which you know is going to take care? How is that more important? You see, I think we must locate some things where they are now. And Nigerians, if they are hearing me, they should wake up and listen to me and listen real good. How many of you have decided to throw your heart into the ring to make that sure that Nigeria changes? How many are willing to make that sacrifice? Secondly, for those who decide to throw their heart into the ring, how many of us are really supporting them and looking at issues? You see, why I say we should come back to the issues of the moment is because I think Nigerians are really not... I did a video some days back where I targeted exclusively the elite. When you want to embark on an election like I did, everybody's advising me, go to the rural areas, go to the poor, go to rural areas. They are the voters, and they are right. Why do I have to go to people who don't understand the essence of what they are voting for? These people want little money because life is hard for them. But we want to recruit a CEO for Nigerians. And think about it. Who is taking that decision? The rural areas, the poor people who need some money, some cash. You can't blame them. So politicians know this much. How about you and I that know better, who form 70% of those that don't vote? Have you realized that virtually every voting time it's about 30% or less, 30% or less? That is because the 70% either would not or could not, and over 70% of them would not, because they are so intelligent to know that vote will not matter. Whatever they will do, they will do. And if this is the mindset, then why do we spend billions of our hard-earned money for us to have the ritual called election? I think the people that we need to talk to at this point in time is the elite, the enlightened people, who should actually activate their 70% base and get into a leadership recruitment that will give us the sort of leadership that we want. It's a conversation that the media needs to start to have. How do we recruit a CEO? The mentality is go to rural areas, they are the voters, go to the villages. Why will a villager listen to the grammar of Architect Nyaito instead of collecting the 2,000 of the politician? It's a conversation we need to really sit and interrogate, because the problem of Nigeria is not the poor man that has to collect money to survive. It's not the problem. I've come to realize I'm contesting. I don't blame them one bit. It is the 70% of the elite who would not get in and would not support the people that are getting in. Now they expect me to go there and be getting support. No, there are two ways you get your funding. It's either you kind of go and get a sponsor, big man, and it's an enterprise, or you say, no. I want properly done. And then the closest person that has tried to do this is Mr. Peter Obi. He tried to activate Nigerians to come on board. But that is being dampened by what has happened with the beavers. That active base that was starting to get ignited, that, well, there's going to be credible elections. Right now, the apathy is unimaginable. And I'm really, really concerned this morning about what's going on. As a result, we are postponing election by 1 week. Do we understand what that means? I'll tell you this as somebody who is in the field. The man that is an incumbent, he does a marathon. But you that is, coming on, you do a dash. That means you limit yourself largely to a big bang in the last 2 weeks. And that's what some of us have done. In the last 2 weeks, we do a real big bang and we're like all over, and people go that mentality into the elections. Now we threw in everything we've got. And guess what has happened? with the people that have the deep pockets, after we spent our last resources, have one more week to counter everything that we have said. Where am I going to get the money to go in for another 1 week? Is it going to come from? It's demoralizing. It is destabilizing. It is something that people don't really know the implication of this 1 week delay on account of INEC's ineptitude or incompetence or lack of commitment. I've always been one that speaks for INEC, always. The chairman, I have been his greatest cheerleader. But right now, I just feel so disappointed.
No, but just Kofi, quickly, he said something about implication. Maybe you just take us through what you think the implication might be or may be for this election.
I'll tell you. Number one, forget those who are starting to get gingered. Credible election, blah, blah, blah. They are calling me one by one. It's like, architect, don't waste your money anymore. Architect, don't waste your money. Because for them, this last rush, especially with the new CBN policy that you can bring back the old note, it is cash and carry. It's cash and carry. That's number one. Number two, this morning, I'll tell you personally, this morning, Friday, all my staff, secretariats, supporters, that's core supporters, the volunteer group, they are right now making their way to my office for end of activity celebration. That's what they are heading for. I made sure that there's going to be a lot of food and lots of things to ginger them to all go back home and man their post. What's going to happen to me? Because I'd spent doing the last push and everything, and it came out particularly well. Now, when they come back to the office this morning, I'm going to tell them, guys, sorry, don't go back home. Now, am I going to have that party today, or am I going to also postpone it one more week? Am I going to postpone it when the facilities have been already put in place? The cooks have done their works, they've been paid. Now, if I have that bank now to ginger them to go to their homes, how am I going to do again next Friday? Another one, from which money? When I've spent all the money I had in the last push, I have one more week of doing what?
So
telling stories.
Ezekiel, is this peculiar to you, or do you think it?
No, it's not. It's peculiar to all the non-government people, all the other parties that were coming in as the fresh air, as the hope for the people. That is, you don't need to spend, to keep any money. Last week, push in everything you've got, push in everything, drum it right in, and deploy the people, like I said, ginger them to go back to the field tomorrow and vote. So now it's everybody. The only people are government, those in power, who have an allocation that has come in again. So they can afford to delay salary for 1 week or anything and carry that money and dump in it and go ahead and undo virtually. There are certain strategies. For instance, I'll give you a little bit of the strategy. There is one group that is extremely, extremely important. And that group was to make a statement today in my favor. Do you understand me? And as a result, people had already known because the messages had gone down. Today, the government is having, tomorrow, a meeting to get that same group and undo whatever it is I was supposed to do, which they wouldn't have been able to because that would not have been allowed. Now, what are you going to do again? Your main strategies, you've not pushed them out because people know election is a strategy game. If you are shooting to kill, if you want to win, let me put that that way. So it's going to take the grace of God right now. I've resigned myself to the grace of God. Maybe it's just as well. Because, and it's happening to all the new kids on the block, all of them, all the new parties that are coming up that are not the institutions parties. They are all going to have a real hard time. And Nigerians have not yet really come into, supporting and defending them. But I still believe in miracles. I believe that the prayers of the people over the years will manifest because this election is pivotal. Whoever takes it, you can be sure it's taking for another 8 years. Add 8 years to your life, you will know that it's something that we didn't have to take a chance on. I'm really, really asking God to help me at this time. That's just what it comes to.
All right, Ezekiel Yachuk, we have to leave it at that. I want to thank you very much for your time. Lots of stories, but so limited time. We're looking forward to the elections. You're a candidate to the governorship election. Do you consider the postponement as a reprieve, or you think the evil day is just being postponed? I mean, sorry, I used that term.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Like I said in my closing argument, I've just said, it's something that you never prayed for. But as a Christian, the Bible says all things work together for my good. So from last night, what I've been doing through the night is reprogramming my mind, seeing the silver lining beyond the cloud, looking at things.
More time to campaign, maybe.
Yeah, looking at things I could have done better if I had one more day. So those are the things that I've looked at. So for me, I'm just turning my mind the other way around, saying, thank you, Jesus. This must have been from you. I'm going to do this. So I'm happy with this last question because I was actually almost relapsing to my old self before the announcement as I had. But now, thank you. I'm reprogramming my mind. Fantastic. And I'm saying, Nigerians, please wake up. All the young people, or when I say young, I mean the new people, their resources are depleted. Run in, Nigerians, and support them financially to make another push for another closing argument.
All right. Meanwhile, President Buhari is in Daura for the elections. I'm sure that he's just like every ordinary citizen who must have prepared, was not aware INEC was going to postpone the elections. It's all good. Thank you very much, sir. We hope to see you next week, and we'll talk some more a few days to your D-Day. We'll take a break. We'll take a break, and when we come back, look at the entire situation with the Beavers, the Court of Appeals ruling, and of course the matters arising. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Shola Fumi Shosonyala, wow, she describes herself as an investor 24/7. She's a media professional and has read over 350 books and thousands of articles on investing and companies. So now let's talk about this switch from the media to becoming this finance coach. Yes.
Okay, I realized that, look, I was doing well in media. I mean, I wasn't earning badly. But what was I putting aside? And I'm one of those hustlers. I'm sure a lot of us know, women, Nigerian women. So I'd sold everything: hair, shoes, clothes. I'd even owned trucks. I mean, those 15-ton trucks that you see on the road. Yes, I owned about 2 or 3 in all of the business I was doing. I just found out that it took away from my corporate life. I had to be chasing people. I had to be monitoring all of those things. I figured there has to be a simpler way to make money. And that's how I delved into investing.
Shimori Badejo holds a first degree in mass communications, master's in communications arts, and a PhD in social psychology, specializing in mass mobilization.
The simplest definition of public relations, which also relates to a nation, is doing good and letting people know. Now, what we hear, it's people demarketing even their country. I grew up in a home where the fear of God was actually implanted on us.
What led you to the good old days?
I realized that they lack sense of history. Even if history is not allowed in schools anymore, let us see how we can bring snippets of this history.
Timeless Conversations, airing every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Did you know that Akin Lewis graduated with a first-class degree in acting and directing?
People don't know that I read drama. Actually, I have a master's degree, first class, in acting and directing.
Did you know that Akin Lewis has been in the acting profession for 49 years?
When we started acting, drama as it were, there was no money in it. Now, this is my 49th year. Yeah. There was no money in it.
Did you know that Akin Lewis has been married twice?
What, you remarried? Oh, yes, I remarried. Okay. Yes. You know, I told you I'm stable now. Calm waters, sailing. Yeah, I remarried. And I have a beautiful daughter, your father. Now,
What's her name?
Oba.
Did you know that Akin Lewis was almost killed during the inter-ethnic massacre preceding the Civil War?
When the pogrom started, you know that thing that led to the Civil War?
Okay, yes.
I was almost killed. Matter of fact, I was killed.
Say that.
I was almost killed. But in the mind of the fellow who did it, he killed me already. Yeah, because what they did was, you know, as it is, I was a lot lighter, and then I have this mark.
Okay.
And then, so I passed easily for an Igbo boy.
Wow.
And that's what they didn't bother to find out. This mark, which I got from a broken bottle.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did that
I fell into the gutter years before. And so that I healed. My father said you shouldn't stitch it. And so that my eye, so but when they saw it now, they thought I was evil.
Did you know that Akin Lewis is a polyglot, speaking 7 languages fluently?
You speak so many languages. Which and which?
Well, I speak Hausa. I speak French. Of course, English. Bulgarian. Yoruba, that's my mother tongue. And Creole. Which is, and Pidgin. It's a different form of Pidgin.
Okay, Creole, that's...
Yeah, from Sierra Leone.
Did you know that Remy Ogunbiton lived most of his childhood and all his teenage years in the United Kingdom?
In England, they sent for us. I was about 5 or 6. That's my junior sister was about 5. We went to join them. And we were with them there for many, many years. We went to school, went to university, started work.
Did you know that Remy Ogunbiton served in the British Army?
I was then, by the time we came back, I had left school, I left university. I was in the British Army. And I spent some time in the British Army, in the Ordnance Corps. And that was where I got the love for video communications and all of those kinds of things.
Did you know that Remy Ogunbiton is from a royal family?
Get that mix of Ijebu, where that is my origins.
Yes.
My mother is from. She always used to tease my father when he used to misbehave. That look, don't talk to me anyhow. I'm from a royal family. My father is the Daguri of Idowa. So my mother was from a royal family.
But Idowa is also Ijebu now.
Yeah, Ijebu, yeah.
Did you know that Remy Ogunbiton worked with the United States Information Service?
The American Embassy came along and offered me an opportunity that I couldn't resist.
What was that opportunity?
They offered me a job at the United States Information Service.
Okay.
Yeah, as the audiovisual manager.
Oh, that's on Broad Street, USA.
Did you know that Remy Ogunbiton established his own TV production company, IBSC, back in 2002?
It was a juicy bit of money.
Very good.
With some other businesses that I done at that time, like the All Africa Games and everything, I started IBST until today.
What does IBST mean?
Integrated Broadcast Services and Technology.
for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
You are one family.
There's no dream of this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
I don't have one yet because I'm yet to be rich. So when I'm rich now, I will have one. But like this, I can just go. I do freestyle, go to wherever I like. But for now, I don't have any favorite. Now my own mind, I tell you, I know the life for you. It's not like you're on TV. I'm trying to film. I'm just studying my mind. So I don't have any favorite destination for now.
In Nigeria, there are a couple of places in Abuja, a couple of amusement parks in Abuja. I usually, Wonderland, a couple of nice spots.
Since I stay in Lagos, so my first destination is like Landmark Beach. This is one of the most favorite of mine. And then this landmark destinations, landmark park. I mean, it's pretty good. It's unique, It's well designed, and I think it's quite well known in international for international occasions. And I think many people will know it later on. Yes.
Landmark is cool. I like Landmark. Everybody loves the sun, like beach sun and everything. The surroundings is very alright.
And the girls?
No, I don't know about the girls. I'm not a girls guy.
So what do you like, guys?
No, I like girls, but I'm not like, nah, I don't do everybody that much.
Yeah, Lekki Conventional Center. It's chill now. I like their overhead rope shit. Yeah, that's why. It's why.
Obodo Katuran.
And why is that?
I've seen pictures and I've heard a lot about it. I think I'll go all through the cable car,
where I like Whispering Palms at Badagry. I like the place. It's serene. They have cool things. I like the place.
So far, I would say the landmark has been pretty good. We just got some cabanas, so my whole family will be here. So it's a nice atmosphere, peaceful, not a lot of crowds. So that's why we like it over here.
I'll say in Nagbo Resorts here.
Abraham, Moses, Jacob, you are one family.
There's no dream of this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
Abraham, Moses, Jacob, you are one family.
There's no dream of this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
As far as I'm concerned, I guess it's the lady. The ladies, the sacrifice man. Because, okay, let's assume now, this morning, I have to be in the office by 8:30. So she have woken up before 4 a.m. I'm still sleeping by then. So she sacrificed her time to make dishes for me while coming to the office, And some other things like that I cannot do easily if she's not there. So
well, the relationship is virtually about sacrifice. So, and both parties should be willing to make sacrifices. So there is no law that says the man must sacrifice for the woman or the woman must sacrifice for the man. Even among relationship of the same sex, normal friendship will still involve sacrifice.
I think both the husband and the wife, they make sacrifices for each other. And it is sacrifice that can even make both couples to be in relationship. Because without sacrifice, sometimes one can just say wants to back out. But both parties, they make sacrifice. And I cannot say one make more sacrifice than the other. So it all depends on the area where the sacrifices are being made.
The reason why
I conclude my own that is that the man is the one that be the NG body, that is financially, spiritually, and in all aspects of life. He has to provide everything that is necessary to sustain the relationship.
All right, we're back. It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. To our first major conversation, of course, you might already have heard the developments from the Court of Appeal. But this is not just the Court of Appeal. It is the Presidential Elections Petition Court situate at the Court of Appeal. Now, this Presidential Election Petition Court yesterday were waiting with bated breath for the outcome of the application filed by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The PEPC, sitting at the Court of Appeal in Abuja, yesterday gave the Independent National Electoral Commission the nod to reconfigure the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, which it used for the presidential election. The court, in a unanimous decision by the 3-member panel of justices, held that stopping the electoral body from reconfiguring the BVAS would adversely affect Saturday's governorship and state assembly elections. Now, it dismissed objections that Labour Party and its presidential candidate Peter Obi raised against INEC's move to reconfigure all the BVAS devices. Now, according to the court, allowing the objections by Obi and his party would amount to tying the hands of INEC, who is a respondent in this case. Nevertheless, we must also point out that the court ordered INEC to allow the applicants inspect and carry out a digital forensic examination of all electoral materials used in the conduct of the elections, as well as to avail them the certified true copies of results of the fiscal inspection of the BVAS. It's an interesting development, not just in jurisprudence, but in politics in Nigeria. It's just something that makes one excited to follow. We have joining us this morning to discuss this very all-important subject and issue a guest whom we're so happy to have. I'd like to say a very good morning to Amuo. Okay, I'm just going to leave this out. So I'm sorry about that. Our guest is Amuo Dofin, who is a political analyst, and he joins us from Lagos. I'm told that we have had a change, and glad I can see that. Mr. Ogene Emmanuel Ego, who's a member of the House of Representatives representing Amuo Dofin Federal Constituency in Lagos. Thank you very much. I apologize for that, a bit of a technical challenge, Ms. Ego. Sincere apologies for that. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm honored to be with you. And on the issue of the court case, which will be instituted against INEC, which the appeal court rejected, I think that the appeal court should have considered the legitimacy of the last election, because INEC themselves clearly told everybody that BVAS were going to be used in the election. And INEC themselves also reminded everybody that BVAS have been used in the election in Anambra State, and it worked well. They use it in Ekiti, it worked well, and they use it in the Osun State, it also worked well. So if it worked well in 3 states across a period of over 6 months, why would it not work well in a single state in this last election? So I think what INEC did was bad. I don't know whether they did it purposely, because from what we are seeing, they did it purposely. They made sure the results were not uplifted. I mean, updated into the cyber, so that people can see the election. What was done was rather a manual collation as their release job. And so you can see where people are disappointed. A lot of people have never voted before. Or rather, they voted long ago, and they lost lost confidence in the voting system. And they mainly came out when INEC told us that their votes will count. And from what we are seeing, the votes did not count. So that's why the Court of Appeal should have been more compassionate, should have been more understanding in their ruling. But as it is, they are ruled. And I think that those who have the opinion that the election was flawed should continue that video. A lot of people seem to have lost confidence in even the ability of the Supreme Court to give.
Okay, Representative, sorry about that. I just did ask you the first question, but I know there's a bit of network lag, so in case you hear me interrupting you, it's because of that, and I apologize. We're told that our House of Reps members are now to be known as representative, so I will have to just, I didn't call you representative when we started. I also apologize for that. There are two things here. I want you to tell me how you think this will play out, because the Presidential Elections Petitions Court is on one hand saying that yes, INEC can go ahead and reconfigure the BVAS if they need to do that, because not allowing them to do that will amount to tying INEC the hands of INEC. But they're also saying that the applicants, the parties who have applied to inspect the BVAS and other electoral materials, sensitive electoral materials, can do so. So, in your opinion, are they going to be allowed to do the inspection before the reconfiguration? Or since the Presidential Elections Petitions Court has given them the nod to reconfigure, they will just go ahead and do their thing? Okay, I don't know how this is going to play out. They postponed the elections, of course, we know, but how do you think this will play out?
Well, if they go ahead to go and reconfigure before the various presidential candidates to look into the beavers to see what happened on that day, then we'll call it almost an abuse of power. To say, oh, we have the power, we have decided, we'll go ahead. But let INEC not forget that they are serving the people. The commodity they are selling is election. And we at the National Assembly budgeted billions upon billions of naira for them. Each time they ask for money, we never cut it. We approved it for INEC so that they can do this job creditably well. For them to now come out and say, oh, we have a problem, therefore we'll go ahead. But they are aware of the controversy following the election. If they had done the right thing, put everything on beavers, put it into their server, nobody will be complaining. But instead they went to the old manual system. And this is where the complaint is coming from. In going to the old manual system, so much figures have been changed. We have been seeing figures all over the social media and even some physically, where you see figures that have been kept several times, have been changed several times, that the paper looks so unreadable, just to get a certain figure. I think INEC should be ashamed of themselves. In this civilized country, the entire INEC hierarchy at the top will just resign and say, hey, we are failing this duty. We cannot continue it. Please, Mr. President, appoint another person. That, I think, should have been the honorable way for INEC to go. But as it is, they are still thinking of continuing the beavers modification. I think it's bad. But just yesterday night, I heard a shameful news that the election has been postponed for another 1 week, which of course ordinarily should not have happened if INEC had not done what it did. So we hope that with the postponement, INEC will consider once more the rights of those who voted to have their representatives look at the beavers, so that their case in court can be strong. All this problem we are having today would not have happened if INEC did not do what. If the INEC had done the right thing, nobody would be complaining. You would not even need one returning officer to begin to read the result of a local government or a state or even at the federal level. All you need to do would be to log into the internet, INEC portal, and then you will see all the results.
People don't need to go and gather in one place to say, want to announce a result, coalition result from so local government, from so ward, from so state. What we have done now is to go back to the old system. So we ask,
I like to bring your attention. I like us to look
what have they done with it? So that is my contribution.
Now, Ogene, please let's look at some of the issues. We know that the court had granted, or INEC a request to reconfigure the beavers. That's what it is. But moving forward, fast forward, there are a lot of issues, other issues that you want to look at now. They have been given, granted, the permission to go ahead and reconfigure. They've also stated that there will be backing up data, as it were, to the back end of the saver. I'd like you to respond to that. Do you believe that INEC has what it takes? It is also within the Electoral Act and the laws, is within the laid down laws that they do this. So my question is, do you think that they can do that? Now, secondly, some experts have said that INEC may have been forced to shift the polls because the process of reconfiguring the beavers takes real time. So again, I ask you, do you also believe in this assertion? So two of them. Ogene? I know. I think we probably seem to have like a network issue, connection issue. But as soon as we're able to re-establish connection. Ogene, can you hear me?
Yes, I have a question.
So I mean, if you look at this, the court has actually gone ahead to grant INEC the privilege or opportunity to go ahead and reconfigure the beavers. Yeah. And if you look at the postponement of the election, it's in connection with the fact that, hey, you can't reconfigure the beavers within a certain time. It was just how many days before the elections. But looking at the thoughts of experts, they're saying that INEC may have been forced to shift the polls because the process of reconfiguring the beavers takes real time. So do you think that that's the case, that the hands of the umpire has been forced?
Well, if the hands of the umpire was forced, I want to say that they forced themselves. As it is now,
no. So I mean, experts are saying that they have. It's not what is. INEC has given their position that this is what it is. They need time to reconfigure. The essence of this postponement of the election by 1 week is that they're able to reconfigure the beavers following, the permission that's been granted by the courts. And so experts are saying that beavers can be reconfigured real time. So now there's also another thought that's saying they have been forced to it. My question to you now is, do you think that this is, away from all of the excuses that INEC has given and they're forced by an external force that we don't know, or interest, however it is?
Well, maybe you may be right.
Not me.
Technical issues that force them. Maybe they are not able to complete the beaver configuration within the next 1 week. As they are asking for additional weeks, they don't know they do that. But as it is, people are finding out trust INEC, because someone came out in a credible manner and everybody trusted him to the which came just want to vote. To those who have been voting before, who felt that votes don't count, they don't want to vote again. Everybody trusted Professor Mahmoud and INEC. And so it came as a shock when people now learned at the coalition center that the beavers were not used. These results were not transmitted electronically, So because of that, whatever INEC is doing now, people take it with a pinch of salt. If it's a technical issue that is disturbing them, I'm still making the light off. The light will soon come back, but let me open the window. Oh, good. Good. Hold it. Can you hear me again? So if it's technical issues that disturb INEC that is making them to extend the period, or they are doing it, the consideration of the appeal But one cannot say. And there's nothing either could say that anybody.
All right, I think we have to leave it at that with some technical challenges there. Representative Ogene Emmanuel Ego, sorry about that. We will have to go at this time. He's a member of the Federal House of Representatives representing Amo Ndofi Federal Constituency. Mercy is heartwarming to know in that part of Lagos, you have a lot of people who are not really indigenous to Lagos, and it's very possible to vote, non-Yorubas into federal elected positions. And I was going to ask him about that because of the conversation going on about some of the governorship candidates on the side. I wish we had time to ask him.
But if you also look at that,
this Lagos is cosmopolitan, and this is one of the examples. He himself holding a federal legislative position. It's interesting to see. You want to add something before we go? Okay, all right. I wish I had a chance to ask him. It's a real debate. We know that Rotvivo's father, Mr. Olaole Rotvivo, a lawyer, had to come out yesterday to say my son is from Lagos. But
the conversation as to the presidential candidate or the president-elect of the All Progressive Congress himself, Asiwaju Bola
of Nigeria.
And then you want to ask, is he from Lagos? They also have a question. No, I'm saying if you bring that,
that's another. That's another thing. But anyway.
It's saddening, Kofi. You asked if I was going to add. Now I should add a bit. But I think that it's saddening that we're having a conversation that someone will look at you and say, are you, where are you from? You're from Cross River Abi, you're from where? How does that even make any difference?
The section 177 is quite clear, it's unambiguous as to the criteria to become governor of any state in Nigeria. So, but I want to take his thoughts since he's a case study, let's say. Anyway, we'll take a break. When we come back, short quotes amongst telecoms companies in Nigeria will be aligned with what we hear. What is up with that? What does that mean? Stay with us to find out.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
And it's still the breakfast in Plus TV Africa. Let's look at our second conversation. Short codes is our focus this morning. However, Nigeria is moving towards harmonizing all short codes to uniform numbers across the telecommunication operators from May the 17th. Now, through the Nigerian Communications Commission, in the next 2 months, telecoms like MTN, Airtel, Nine Mobile, and Globalcom, among others, may begin to use one singular code for specific transaction. This means Nigerians who want to recharge their mobile phones, check their credit balance for airtime or data, and all the services will do this through a uniform number, irrespective of the network service providers. This appears to be the second phase of telecom industry harmonization after the NCC introduced the mobile number portability feature 10 years ago in April 2013. Now, joining us to look at this and the implication is Okono Abdullahi. It's good to have you join us. Good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here with you.
Yes, Okono, I'd like to ask you, what are your thoughts about this development, the harmonization of codes?
Okay, thank you so much. I think the harmonization is a welcome development, considering the fact that in this country of ours, you realize that hardly would you get to see an individual having just one network. You know, you see a lot of people using more than one telecommunication, what do you call it, numbers, you know. While you, even as a matter of fact, I've come across people that have all the networks, you understand? So for such people like that, it would be a welcome development, rather than for them to always be racking their brain over what is the short code to be used for one network or the other. I remember an incident like that. As a matter of fact, it actually happened to my wife and myself. You know, every now and then when she was so used to one particular network, but she has another one. So anytime she wants to use the other one, she always call me and ask me, darling, what's the short code for this particular service on this particular network? And unfortunately for her, I do not use that particular network she is always bothering me about. So what we usually do is to always go on net to Google to search for what the code is, you know. But in a scenario whereby you have uniformity in all the short codes, irrespective of the network we are using, I think it's a very good development which must be embraced by all.
All right, Okonu, I'm seeing that the proposed harmonized short codes are things like call center, help desk, voicemail deposit, voicemail retrieval, you know, borrow services, stop services, check balance, credit recharge, data plan, you know, and other services, verification, SIM verification, and but are these enough? You know, because you talked about memorizing all these things. Are these enough? You know, the other things that each network offers that are important. You know, should we be looking at maybe bringing more into these the short code idea? We also have even the banks, you know, loading credit and using your bank, which is the most important one, doing transfers to USSD. So, do we have more things we can bring into this, or these are the major ones that we should get? Secondly, we've seen that with the forceful move of Nigerians into, you know, cashless transactions, especially with the websites of the banks, internet banking, mobile banking as well with the USSD, is that it seems like the volume of transactions is way down on the network, you know, of the banks. You know, sometimes you see USSD of a bank, it's not going through, it's not working, the app is not working, the website. So if everybody is now focused on a particular short code, will we not have this overcrowding of sorts, for want of a better word?
Okay, thank you so much. Let me start with the first question you asked. When I actually saw this news item, I went through and I saw several numbers, though Some, I mean, they look to be in sequence. By that, I'm trying to say that you have 300 for call center, 301 for voicemail deposits, 302 for voicemail retrieval, and the likes like that. So though they are in sequence, but for me, as an individual, to a very large extent, I want to believe that this number is there are too many. There are too many. That's the way I personally is looking at it. There are too many. I'm looking at a situation whereby we have just one. For instance, like emergency helpline. In Lagos State, for example, you have just 737, then 112. So irrespective of whatever your complaint is, you get, what do you call it? You always get somebody responding to you, and a right person will respond and try to attend to whatever your need is. Similar thing is what I'm expecting of this. While we are harmonizing, fine, it is a welcome development, like I said earlier. But at the same time, you should go further than bringing plethora of numbers for like they try to explain for specific services. But that notwithstanding, you can have a scenario whereby you have maximum, highest, say 2 different short codes. One, once you have the short code, you dial it. So whatever transaction you want to do, you can easily scroll down, look at the interface, your phone, to get to find where exactly you want to do. If it is to transfer money, you go ahead and do it. If it is to recharge your phone, your data, and the likes like that, you go ahead and do it. Rather than for us to be having all this huge number, you understand? So because what we are trying to run away from, eventually we'll still run into the same problem, and that is how easy would people can easily access these numbers, So that's for me. I want to further urge the NCC to go further to streamline these numbers. There are too many for me. There are too many. Then you talked about jam packing of these facilities, whereby you have been using short codes and they are not functioning the way they should. If they harmonize, with the problem not persist. I really don't see it as such, actually. What really led to this one is that the service providers before now, they were not the rush this time around as a result of the cashless redesign policy that is on now. They never expected such surge. They were not prepared for it. But in the situation whereby you are now streamlined, you are trying to make a uniform short codes for all telecommunication, network providers. I think they will increase their capacity and will not have any such problem. And apart from that, also is the fact that if you are using one of the service providers network, that means all subscribers on that particular network are the ones. The company or the telecommunication operator on that particular network is the one that will cater for all its subscribers. So unlike what is going on presently, majority of some of these banks and their apps, we get to realize that some network provider, they are more, the subscribers are more on a particular bank compared to others. That's where you get to see that some of these problems are more peculiar to certain banks, compared to others. So for me, this particular experience will serve as a learning curve for them, and for them to know, which I want to believe that, yes, they have realized it as well, that they need to increase their capacity, and also for the banks as well to increase the capacity of their app. They should up their game.
Well, we do have breaking news that a loaded Lagos State government staff bus has been involved in a collision with a train at the PWD bypass in the area of Ikeja. rescue workers, according to the reporter, are on the scene to help the injured. Now, several passengers are feared dead following the impact of that collision. It's also been advised that you should probably, if you can hear us now, try to avoid that area because there's a high possibility of traffic in this access. And then, of course, quite unfortunate and very saddening. Our hearts and prayers are with those who have lost their lives. We'll definitely bring you more updates, especially on our bulletin. But we get back to the crux of that.
Okay, Mister, I think that is a BRT bus, actually, not a staff bus.
Well, according to the report that we got, the collision is between a bus, the Lagos State government bus, and a BRT. There's a collision, so it's not just, it didn't happen on its own.
Yeah, it seems to be between a BRT bus and a train. BRT bus and a train.
All right, then, so we'll just continue with the conversation, just like we've said. We'll just bring you more updates as we proceed, with this conversation, especially on our bulletin that will shortly come after this part of the show. But, Abdullahi, I'd like to ask you, with the codes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
The harmonization of these codes, do you think that it would yield to effectiveness and efficiency?
Yes, I believe so. I believe so.
Abdullahi, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, please go on. We can hear you, Abdullahi.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, like I was saying, it's definitely going to increase the efficiency and the effectiveness of the services being rendered. Like I'm more particular about the subscribers, like I said earlier. A lot of people rack their brain over what these codes were. Somebody that is using more than one network, they battle to get to use all these short codes. But in a case whereby you have them harmonized the way it is being proposed now, I think for the subscribers, it is a very welcome development. And at the same time, it will also challenge the service providers to increase their capacity to be able to serve their subscribers very well. So obviously, it will lead to increase the efficiency. I believe so.
All right. What other innovations do you think the authorities, NCC and the telco should embark on? To make things easier for Nigerians as far as telecommunications is concerned, because of course, it's been a while since the benefits of per second billing came to be. Of course, it wasn't a government policy; it was a policy of one of the companies, and the others had to adopt it. So, what innovations do you think can be introduced to ensure that Nigerians enjoy, the use of the mobile phone? These days we have artificial intelligence, we have 5G coming in. Are we ready for all these developments around the world? So what do you think we need to, what's the next stage we need to get to? This innovation is good. We're improving, we're bringing harmonization, but how other things you think can be introduced to make it a more enjoyable experience for Nigerians as far as mobile telephony is concerned?
Okay, thank you so much. I want to look at it from the perspective of the customers, subscribers. One of the things, while you were asking that question, the first thing that came to my mind has to do with the data subscription. Data subscription, they'll tell you, for example, you are on an unlimited package, and within a month, you have exhausted your your data, and you ask yourself, well, you told me this is unlimited, and they start speaking grammar to you. So this aspect, I want NCC to look into this direction. Then apart from that also, whereby I, for example, subscribe, irrespective of the number of months, it should be actually limitless. There shouldn't be a cap to when I must exhaust my data. Just like your, what's it called now? You recharging your phone, you have a certain amount of credit on your line. If you may decide rather not to use it to make any call whatsoever for a very long time. You understand? And your money will still be there. The same thing should be applicable to data as well. You understand? I want NCC to look into this. This will make Nigerians be more appreciative of their work. They are doing well, no doubt about that. But if they can consider this, I think it will go a long way in putting smiles into the faces of Nigeria. Then another important thing, as a comrade, as a trade unionist, I want the NCC, though they may want to say that it is not really within their purview, but I want them to go further than looking at these subscribers, but also telecoms operators, but also to try to focus on the workers that are performing the job, that are making these services available to Nigerians. The workers are suffering within the sector. And we as a union, we have been trying to see how we will ameliorate the sufferings of these workers within the sector. But we want that when the agencies of government like NCC, for example, look into this direction, I think it will also bring support.
Well, thank you so much.
But also for them to also double up on their performance. And
Okay,
service.
very quickly, sir, because of time. Very quickly. Mobile money is innovation and technology that has been introduced in Nigeria for years. But a lot of Nigerians don't know about mobile money. What happens is you take your mobile phone, and that mobile number of yours is an account, it's a wallet. Anyone can send money to you on your mobile number. It's been introduced for years and Nigerians haven't adopted it. The adaptation has been really poor, or penetration, acceptability. Why do you think that is the case? Because some are saying, well, with these challenges right now with the cash crunch and everything, it is an avenue for Nigerians to be easily transact business, if you don't have a bank account. Why do you think it's failed to take off in the country?
I must say. But if the number of people that are embracing it is still very low, then what I feel should be done is for more sensitization to be done. They need to publicize it as much as possible. Because if you don't, like they say, knowledge is power. What you don't know, you don't know it. So if people are not aware of the importance of this mobile money, of course, they will not embrace it. People are so much fixated about all these conventional banks, and they believe that until they go in and out of bank via the ATM and the likes like that, before they can access their money or get the transaction done. So the same way you publicize all these conventional banks as well, if you publicize this as much as possible, a lot of people will also embrace it. People that are not using it.
We have to go now. Thank you. Thank you so much, Konua Abdullahi, for being part of the show this morning. We appreciate your thoughts sincerely, and we look forward to
Thank you so much
having you speak on
you.
issues like this.
And that's the size of our package. Mercy, it was a privilege doing this with you. And of course, tomorrow we'll be back here. It's also a privilege having our viewers join us this morning right here on The Breakfast. Please follow us on social media, PlusTvAfrica, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. 2 channels, PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle.
My name is Messi Boko.
And my name is Kofi Bartels. Thanks for joining us. And Messi and I will go have some more hot tea whilst we prepare for the rest of our day. Have a nice day.
Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria with 351,861 hectares of land, is the authentic home of every tribe and tongue in Nigeria. The state, though small in landmass, is controversially the most populous state in the country, One of the neighborhoods in the state is Obalende, located in Etiosa local government area. The area is strategically a historic site because before the relocation of administrative capital from Lagos to Abuja, it was the seat of power of the military head of state, the Dodon Barrack. Historically, a Royal West African Frontier Force, predominantly Hausa men, were initially camped on the land where the famous King's College is situated. Then there was a need for the use of the land, and the Oba of Lagos was said to have pressured the governor of Lagos to resettle the Hausa men and sold the land in what is now Obalende to the British colonial masters. After resettlement in the purchased land, the Royal West Africa Frontier Force men named the place Ibiti Obalewade, which translates to the place where the king drove us to. Obalende, though crowded, is famous for its nightlife and for its suya sport, with a junction popularly called Suya Junction. For ease of administration, former governor of Lagos State, Asewaju Bola Tinubu, created additional 37 local council development areas from the existing 20 local council areas. So the current Obalende is carved out under Ikoyi Obalende Local Council Development Area. Ikorodu town is another historic location in Lagos, located in the northeast area of the state along the Lagos Lagoon and shares a boundary with Ogun State. Currently, the town houses Ikorodu local government area and 5 local council development areas. Kabiru Shotobi is the king of Ikorodu, traditionally known as Ayogbunre of Ikorodu, who ascended the throne from October 24, 2015. The name Ikorodu came about from people whose ancestors descended from the Remo stock of Yoruba tribe who came to settle on a plateau and named it Ikorodu, a shortened word from Oko Odu, which literally means Odu, farm. The current metro area population of Ikorodu in 2021 is 989,000, a 5.44% increase from 2020. Trading, farming, and manufacturing are some of the things Ikorodu is known for. Ikeja is the capital of Lagos State, formerly called Akeja. It was named after a deity of the Awori people of Ota, who originally settled there. The area was invaded for slaves until the mid-19th century. Ikeja, an abbreviation meaning of Ikorodu and Ekpe joint administration, was coined by colonial administrators for ease of administration. It is the official seat of the governor of the state, where the state secretariat is also located. It is also where the domestic and international airports are located. Its population as of 2006 census is 330,196. Ikeja is home to one of West Africa's largest gadget markets, popularly known as Computer Village, and home to a shopping mall known as Ikeja City Mall, which is the biggest mall in Lagos mainland and also has a cinema. These are some interesting places that make Lagos a world-class destination.
With a population of over 200 million, Nigeria is the most populous black country on earth.
We are diverse, strong, vibrant, and mostly young. We're yet to reach the land of our dreams.
We can write, tell, and be our own story.
From the economy, education, security to politics, you name it.
We can build the Nigeria of our dreams if we work together.
Join us on The Run-Up to discuss and proffer solutions to the issues confronting our polity every weekday. I am Bayo.
And I am Nyamgul.
We invite you to The Run-Up, 11 a.m. Monday to Friday on this channel.
Hello, good morning to you. I am Kimberly Obiabo. This is the news brief. A loaded Lagos State government staff bus has been involved in a collision with a train at the PWD bypass in the Ikeja area. Rescue workers are on the scene to help the injured. Several passengers are feared dead following the impact of the collision.
I will train the call because they do not get up, leave the cocoa. Because they tell the people say they claim. Why not? See that
Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has postponed the governorship and state assembly elections initially slated to hold March 18. The Court of Appeal Abuja had earlier granted the commission the go-ahead to reconfigure its bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) for the exercise. The INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, confirmed the postponement of the election in a statement issued on Wednesday night in Abuja. Meanwhile, the Presidential Election Petition Court, PEPC, sitting at the Court of Appeal in Abuja, has given the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) the nod to reconfigure the bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) it used for the presidential election. The court, in a unanimous decision by a 3-member panel of justice, held that stopping the electoral body from reconfiguring the BVAS would adversely affect Saturday's governorship and state assemblies elections. It dismissed objections that the Labour Party and its presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, raised against INEC's move to reconfigure all the BVAS. According to the court, allowing the objections by Obi and his party would amount to tying the hands of the respondent, INEC.
The ex-parte order procured by Labour Party and Mr. Obi to enable them procure vital evidence required for their petition. INEC filed an application seeking to vary those orders, particularly as it relates to the server, BVAS machine. Luckily for us today, the court refused to vary that order. That order is sustained and remains. In another ruling, the court was of the view that they are given the back-end server, which INEC undertook to provide to secure those materials, that order is partly sustained. Those initial orders are partly sustained. But
Also, the Presidential Election Petition Court, PEPC, sitting at the Court of Appeal, has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to grant the President-elect Bola Tinubu access to sensitive materials it used for the presidential election. The court, in a unanimous decision by a 3-member panel led by Justice Joseph Ike, said it was satisfied there was merit in Tinubu's request to have access to electoral materials to enable him to defend his election victory. It held that both Tinubu and his party, the All Progressives Congress, are entitled to have access to the materials in INEC's possession to enable them to inspect, scan, and make photocopies of them. Both Tinubu and the APC had, in a separate expertise applications they brought before the court, said they would need the materials to prepare their defense against petitions that would seek to nullify the outcome of the election.
Now, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has inaugurated a legal team to challenge the outcome of the February 25th presidential election. The former vice president briefed the team at his campaign headquarters in Abuja on Wednesday. He mandated them to establish the claim of illegality in the February 25th presidential election and reclaim the mandate of the Nigerian people. The team, which is headed by J.K. Gadzama, comprises 19 senior advocates of Nigeria. An election observer group, Truly and Fully Arewa Movement of Nigeria, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to cancel the just concluded polls of Lagos West Senatorial District over alleged irregularities and malfunctioning of BVAS machines. Speaking at a conference in Kaduna, spokesperson of the group, Elijah Francis, said a non-transmission of results in over 7,000 polling units did not reflect the people's mandate.
To sadly address the world, particularly the election observers, on the recent amended election conducted by INEC in Lagos West Senatorial District. Late arrival of election materials. 2. Destruction and manufacturing of BVAS machines. Disruption of electoral process by hoodlums. Insufficient security personnel in some major polling units. No transmission of result in polling units. The electoral materials arrivals at most of the polling units at about 12th local time. Hoodlums successfully succeed in destroying BVAS machine and thereafter disturb the...
The group said few security personnel were deliberately posted to major polling units to pave way for hoodlums to operate.
Thereof, we call for total cancellation of the election by INEC, setting aside a new date for fresh election in the entire 7,000 polling units across the 10 local government of senatorial district. We also call on the local and international observers to draw attention of INEC with immediate effect.
Now, the Committee of Indigenous Lagosians has endorsed the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in the state, Gbadebo Road River, ahead of the March 18 elections. The committee made this official declaration at a press conference in Lagos on Wednesday. The group condemned alleged thuggery in the February 25th presidential and National Assembly elections led by Afenifere leader Supo Shonibare. The group warned residents of Lagos State against social media posts inciting violence, noting that the narrative that Lagos has been taken over by Igbos is false.
The procedure of Olodi results through the BVAs at the polling unit will be seamless and in real time. The manipulation is usually enabled after this process. It is believed that our own vigilance will ensure that the elections will be free and fair. Afenifere hereby enjoins all men and women of goodwill to turn out en masse on Saturday, 11th of March, to vote for architect Gbadebo Rosebivo, a scion of the illustrious Rosebivo family of Lagos, whose family ancestry and pivotal contribution to the affairs of Lagos State dates back to 5 generations.
The father of Gbadebo, Olawale Road Vevo, who also addressed the press conference, expressed worry that he has been inundated with lies and social media about the Road Vevo family.
This is not to take from the people, but the momentum itself is a momentum of character. The Nigerians had just had enough. Enough is enough. They wanted to have good government. For a change, they just wanted to have normal, decent people in position of power. That's all they ask. That's what we are. We have had so much of the negative that the Nigerian people have been pushed to the wall. I want us to recognize the role of God in everything that we are doing. If the people that we are contesting against have had the treasury of Lagos State at their disposal, we are hearing that 2-3 billion, I think, goes to a certain person every month.
for the last 24 years. Those of you who can do math, I'm not a mathematician, you can calculate it and see whether that is not equal to the GDP of somebody. But this is what we are fighting against, and we have prevailed. And who are we? We're just normal people. From Isaleko that we came and stayed, all of us went to school, were lawyers, were judges and all, but we were not politicians. We didn't go into government that we say we are Maxwell somewhere. We are not senators. We are not anybody. We don't have the funds to fight this war. But we have prevailed. That can only be.
More political parties and their supporters have continued to throw their weight behind the candidacy of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The latest being the Social Democratic Party deputy governorship candidate for Lagos State, Olori Morenike Abeni, who has formally declared her support for Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's re-election. Abeni stated that having studied all that Governor Sanwo-Olu has achieved in the last 4 years, there is need to give him a second term in order to continue the good work.
Before stepping down, I have done my research. I've gone through all the works Sanwo-Olu have been doing. And being a Lagosian, I'm married to a Lagosian. And I've been here, and I've stayed all my life in this state. And I wouldn't want what is about happening to happen, to sell the state to a nobody, to an outsider, somebody that is inexperienced.
Coalition of different Igbo social cultural groups and leader of thoughts have declared, say there is no going back in their support for the re-election of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and other APC State Assembly candidates. The group made the declaration during a press conference in Lagos. According to Peter Opara, the Igbos are supporting the governor following his performance, competence and cordial relationship with the Igbos.
We as Igbos living in Lagos, made up of traditional rulers, market leaders, market men and women, youths, civil society organizations, students, town unions, and other categories of Igbo population in Lagos state as follows. 1. That we endorse and place support to the incumbent governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his re-election bid. Our support for him is anchored on his performance, competence, cordial relationship with Igbos, and his grand vision for Lagos, which has greatly favored Igbos in the last 4 years. Among all contestants for the tasking office of Lagos State Governor in the coming elections, Sanwo-Olu is the best, tested and capable.
The Igbos in Lagos, we've taken our stand. And the stand remains that it is the governor of Lagos State, and by the name, the Excellency Sanwo-Olu, and that is who all Igbos would vote for.
Knowing fully well what the governor of Lagos State has done, Mr. Sanwo-Olu, Mr. Selebu, has done to make sure that Lagos is the safest place in this country, to make sure that Lagos State is one of the most thriving states in this country in terms of security, education, infrastructure, health, and otherwise, that we don't have any choice than to vote him back so that he will continue with his good work in the next 4 years.
Pregnant women and nursing mothers have endorsed the second-term bid of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, saying that he deserves to be re-elected on account of his contributions towards ensuring the comfort of women. The women who spoke at the 4th edition of the Mother, Infant and Child Development, an initiative of the Lagos State government, lauded Sanwo-Olu for instituting and sustaining the program, noting that it has helped ensure mother and child security from conception to birth to adolescence and into adulthood. Special Advisor, Office of Civic Engagement, Princess Aderemi Adibawale, said the initiative was organized to provide 570 indigent pregnant women across the primary healthcare centers in the state with food packs that would help proper brain development of the fetus for 24 weeks.
And we told them they are coming to endorse the governor for second time. They were very happy to come. You could see the one speaking in Hausa, in Igbo, in Yoruba. They are happy because they want this program to continue. So the program when in Lagos State have endorsed Mr. Governor Sanwo-Olu today for second time because they want this food pack, this program to continue for other pregnant women that will be coming behind them. This March 11th, I have to campaign for my governor because he's doing so wonderfully well in the state. He's doing so well thinking about we women, thinking about children, thinking about child yet unborn, thinking about the future of this state. I'm going to advise that on March 11th, go out, all women in Lagos State, vote Governor Sanwo-Olu for second time so that this laudable work that he's doing can continue.
He's the father of all our children. He's the #1 security officer of the state. And he's to ensure that we all have access to good food, good health, good education, and good opportunities. As long as you are with us here in Lagos, we consider you to be Lagosians, and you therefore can benefit from the welfare by contributing to the state. You are driving our economy for us, and that is what we're looking for: peace, economic development, and a good life, having the opportunity to have lovely children as we can see in this room.
These things that you have seen, all these have been prepared for you pregnant mothers. This is just the beginning. Governor Sanwo-Olu was here yesterday, and he has promised beyond all of this that beyond May 29, after you voted in, for the next time, come March 11th, this Saturday, you're going to be seeing more and more and more and more of this.
Good morning, Mother. I enjoy from this food very well. You can see me and my baby, we are now very fast. I want to advise everybody, if it is not the world, it's not anybody. Because I enjoy very well. Every week, I will collect food. I will eat. See, my baby was now 3.8. And I want to tell my brothers, my parents, sisters, and brothers,
Elsewhere, goods worth millions of naira were on Wednesday burnt down by unidentified arsonists who invaded Akere Motor Parts and Allied Dealers Market in the Olode-Apapa area of Lagos State. The incident, which claimed the life of a security guard for the taxi park beside the market, Baba Hakim, and left several others injured, was said to have been perpetrated by masked men. Meanwhile, a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said President Buhari was sad over the death of the 65-year-old and expressed concern that a similar fire incident occurred at the popular Balogun market a few weeks ago. Buhari called on relevant authorities to take precautions to stem the tide. Governor Sanwo-Olu, who expressed shock over the Ajegunle fire incident yesterday, has ordered a probe of the inferno that got at the market. This was revealed in a statement by the Lagos State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho. Meanwhile, the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party, Gbadebo Road, Vivo, has donated 15 million naira to victims of the fire incident at the Akere Motor Parks and Allied Dealers Market. Gbadebo Road's Vivo, who visited the scene of the incident, frowned at the extent of the damage done to the goods in the market. He called on the security operatives to ensure that the perpetrators were brought to book. The Commissioner for Information in Delta State, Charles Anyagu, has debunked rumors making the rounds that the government has sold its liaison office in Lagos, as well as other spurious claims being made by the opposition. Anyagu said this while addressing newsmen in Asaba, the state capital. The Commissioner said the government is reconstructing the liaison office for socio-economic growth, and urged residents to deepen their support for the People's Democratic Party governorship candidate Sheriff Oborevori in the forthcoming election in Delta State.
Of selling off the liaison office in Lagos, that is far from the truth. Before now, as at 2018, we have assessed the state of our liaison office in Lagos, renovate and still keep just a small property for the liaison office. And what we did was to carry out a feasibility study as to what will serve us best. And we came to the conclusion that we needed to, one, ensure that we still have a very great stake in that property, but that the property need to be restructured. And the proposal was that we were to turn it into a 21-story building. And of course, if you build a 21-story building, you cannot turn it into a liaison office. And for us to get value, we need to bring in those who are experts in both construction and management.
To other parts of Africa, an influential organization of religious leaders in Mali have called on its followers to reject a new constitution being drawn up under the country's junta leadership, maintaining the principle of secularism. The proposal to change Mali's constitution aims to enable the military-run West African nation to return to civilian rule. The new constitution is supposed to be put to originally scheduled for March 19, but the junta has made no comment on the timetable amid widespread doubts about the date. The junta's declared goal is to hold elections in February 2024 that would lead to the restoration of civilian rule. Outside Africa, thousands of protesters have returned to the center of Georgia's capital, Tbilisi. Hours after riot, police broke up crowds angered by a controversial Russian-style law. The new law would class non-government and media groups as foreign agents if they get more than 20% of their funding from abroad. Police arrested 66 people overnight, including a Georgian opposition leader. In business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has issued operational guidelines for open banking in Nigeria to ensure stability in the nation's financial system. The Apex Bank, in a circular signed by the Director of Payment Services Management Department, Musa Jimo, said the guidelines would create greater access to customer-focused data sharing between banks and third-party firms. It further stated that all stakeholders were mandated to ensure strict compliance with the guidelines and other regulations. Open banking through application programming interfaces enables the sharing of customer permission data between banks and third-party firms. The system allows banks to securely share their customer data with third-party companies such as fintech and other financial service providers with the consent of their customers. Once a customer gives consent for data to be shared, the third-party firm can access their data through the bank's APIs. The data includes information about the customer's transaction, account balances, and other relevant information. In entertainment news, in the latest installment of the Billboard Hot 100, Nigerian superstar Rema reaches a new peak as he continues his impressive ascension on the chart. This week, Rema's Calm Down reaches a new peak of number 15 as it moves 4 places up from its number 19 spot last week. The single enters its 29th week as it continues its impressive showing on the charts. Rema's Calm Down continues to dominate the US Billboard Afrobeats chart as it extends its record as the longest number 1 to 27 weeks. In sports, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Sunday Dare, has urged stakeholders, communities and men to support Nigerian girls and women in sports by opening and creating opportunities for them. Dare said this at the FAME Foundation annual Women's Football Tournament held in commemoration of International Women's Day. International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality. According to Dare, investing in women and girls is a positive way of uplifting all people, communities and countries. That's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on Limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Kimberly Obiabo. Many thanks for watching. Have a good morning.
My name is Mike Mina. I work in communications at the International Committee of the Red Cross in Kenya. I'm a Kenyan and I love Kenya. One of the reasons why I love Kenya is because of the weather. Look, I'm an outdoor person and the weather here allows me to be myself. It allows me to have fun because it doesn't get too hot, it doesn't get too cold. So throughout the year, there's always something to do for me. And the other thing that I really love about Kenya is the landscapes. I mean, just look at this. Quite beautiful. This is a town called Magadi, 3 hours from Nairobi, famously known for bird watching, production of salts, and for people who love the outdoors like myself, this is a great spot for landscape and nature photography. I love spending time with people. We are in Lamu. Lamu is a coastal town in Kenya, very beautiful place, a World Heritage town famously known for it.
Hello and welcome. On this episode on One-on-One today, I'm speaking with a professional with over 18 years experience. His name is Aziz Abida. Now, those who have worked with him say he possesses strong leadership qualities and management skills. He has worked in about 12 industries, including general management, corporate finance, portfolio management, investment banking, private equity, and financial advisory. He's the former CEO of IHS Rwanda, one of the top 10 largest companies in Rwanda with an estimate of 50 million annual revenue. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Amida.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time. My first question to you is, like, you've done all of these things. What are you up to now?
Well, right now, I left IHS in September, so I decided to take time to write a book and I consult for a lot of companies now, about 3-4, on structuring themselves for growth and helping them position themselves for funding and the rest. Then also spending some time setting up my foundation to, give back to society as we go. Yeah, so that's more like.
So now that you have.
And advance our positions on different humanitarian issues and raise awareness of humanitarian needs of the communities that we serve. For many years, Kenya has hosted refugees from neighboring countries. And again, working with the Kenya Red Cross, we support the tracing and reunification of separated families in these camps. Our work here in Nairobi also has a lot of global significance for ICRCs